Hi guys, this is the Amaran P60x. It is a bicolor panel light and it costs $250. Now the question is, should you get one? And the answer is, I don't know. I don't know you. I don't know your needs, but you might want one. Let's talk about it. Now, of course, the disclaimer, the people over at Gear were kind enough to send over an Amaran P60x for me to review. And I gotta say, it is definitely a good light. The question is it a good light for you? As you can see, I have a panel light in the back here. This is a newer 530, just a cheap old panel light. It makes me sick. Oh, you make me sick now. Ugh, disgusting. Am I right? Compared to this thing? That's not exactly true. I actually love this very much, and I like cheap panel studio lights in my studio. And this is, in fact, an RGB light. This one is just bicolor. That's RGB, and it's far cheaper. And that is the type of thing that I need for this little studio, but it is not a professional light, and I probably wouldn't take it with me if I was doing any kind of decent setup on the go. Now that is a different story for this guy, and I think that is what this guy is intended for. So let me talk a little bit about the light for a second. So it comes in this nice little carrying case here that says Amaran, which makes a lot of sense because that is who makes the light. And it has little straps inside here so that you can hold it securely. It's a little padded case, and it also has a place for all of the cords that go with it. And speaking of the cord, it has this nice locking mechanism that goes into the light, and then it won't just fall out, embarrassing you in front of friends and family. And the other side of the cord also locks, that goes into the power brick. So these are nice little pro features that you won't get on the cheaper lights. It also has this little wire cord so that it can just hang on to your light stand on one of the locking knobs. But I do wish the cord was longer so that when you're out in the field, you would have more cord to play with. Now, if you're just going to use this as a short cord in your studio, you might be glad that it is not so long. In this little bag here, we have a pop-out softbox, which is kind of cool, and it creates a soft light. You just gotta wrap the straps around the edges there, and it creates a much softer light, which is great. It won't be as soft as something like this parabolic softbox that I have set up. So if you're looking for an even softer light, you can grab an umbrella and stick it through. There's a little umbrella hole here in the bracket, and then you'll get an even softer light. I will show you a comparison in a minute, and then your setup is quite small. You just take this umbrella with the little light case with your light stand, and you are ready to go instead of lugging around a big COB light and a big softbox. And it also comes with a little grid here, which I like because it makes the light directional. You can point it where you want to point it so it won't spill into a million other places. I want all of the light focused on me. And it also comes with a nice sturdy bracket here so that you can manipulate the light in different ways. And I have heard for the P60C, which is the RGB version of this light, which is much bigger and heavier, I have heard that the bracket doesn't hold very well, but on something like the P60X, which is not very heavy, I have no trouble at all securing this, and it doesn't move around one little bit. Now, before we do the light test, I'm going to show you how the light works. It is dead simple, easy to use. So this is how it works here. We have the intensity, just 0 to 100, and over here is the CCT. You can go from 6500 all the way down to 3200 to get a nice warm light. And this is cool over here. You see the battery? It says I have over 2 hours at 17%. But if you crank up the juice and then you just wait a few seconds, you will see that time changes. Now I have 25 minutes left on these little 550 batteries. So, and over here we have the effects. There is pulsing, strobe, paparazzi, and fireworks. And that's it. I cycle through pulsing and strobe again. Just going into the menu now, we have the fan mode. Now you can do smart fan mode, where it just cuts on and off when it needs to, or you can go with the medium mode. And this would be easier to cut out in post because it would be a constant sound coming out of the fan. Then we have a studio mode. That just means that the lights will come on automatically about being plugged in or when you turn on your studio lights. And it's just a Bluetooth reset. and the fixture serial number, language, firmware version, and then the custom effects. Now you can also control the light using the Sidus Link app, which is Aputure's app, to control all of their lights. And if you have all Aputure lights with one app, you can control everything, your entire light setup, which is great and very convenient. So if you're in the Aputure or Amaran ecosystem, this light will be a huge benefit to your workflow. Okay, so let's do a test here. This is my normal setup. This is my normal angle. My parabolic softbox with my UL150 is right here, and I have a little kicker light. So now I'm going to replace my key light with the little Amaran P60x. And now you're looking at the Amaran P60x just off screen. Am I gorgeous? I mean, you know, my regular amount of gorgeous, not slightly less gorgeous. This is actually really impressive. It is, I'm at 41% on I got the Sidus Link app, which is great because look at this. I can change the color. Look at this now. It's warm, nice, romantic. Look here, I can make it, you know, bluer with this. Now I'll go down to back to 5600 because that is what my camera is set at. And that is just, yeah, 41%. Look at this. I can do this. Look at how bright. Look at how bright I can make this for a little panel light. Very, very impressive. Good on you, Amaran, for, you know, back to 41%, for making a powerful light that you can just, this tiny little light that you can just take around. And look at the size difference between these lights. This is with the softbox, and this is a small parabolic softbox. I got the smallest one I could for my studio space because I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't have a whole lot of room here. This is the actual ceiling and my head. So, yeah, I don't stand up. But what about the negatives? What are the negatives, Mark? What have you found in your diligent testing? Well, I have found some negatives. In fact, the first one is the fan. That was an easy one to spot. It has a fan, and fans make noise. And, you know, you can just use it on the medium fan setting and then try to remove that in post if somehow the mic picks it up. It's a very quiet fan, so I really doubt any microphones are going to pick it up unless they're right next to it. But I can hear it when I'm sitting here, and it annoys me. I get annoyed by fans. I know that is my problem. I don't get annoyed by, like, if you're a fan of mine, then I like you. But, you know, the wind fans, you know what I'm saying? Plus, I don't have any actual fans. But my light over here is the Godox UL150, and the very reason I bought it is because it has passive cooling. It has no fan in it. This newer 530 RGB light is passive cooling. There is no fan in it, and I do like that for my studio. So for my background lights, I'm still going to use these panels and not something like this because I don't enjoy having a fan that is whirring while I'm trying to do my work. Now out in the field, it is a different story. If you're outside or you're in a place that has any kind of noise or you're setting it up, or if I had this further away from me, you'd never hear the fan in a million years. But in my tiny little studio, then I'm gonna hear it. Now something else I don't like about it, if you take one of the NPF batteries out, it just shuts off the light. So you have to have two in at all times. Whereas these cheap panel lights, even though they have 2 slots for NPF batteries as well, you can use it using 1 slot. In fact, I am using 1 slot right there now. And I like that because I don't have to, you know, use 2 of my batteries. And like I was using this on 1% battery. This would last for hours and hours and hours. It would be nice to have the option to run it on 1 battery if that was possible. Other negatives, the grid itself is kind of strange and bulky, and then you have to sort of fold it up, and you can't just stick it in the bag. There's no slot for it. It'd be nice if it had an elastic or something on the side of the bag so that I could take the grid along with it. So you have to take the softbox in this little bag, and then the light in this little bag, and then the grid in your hand if you want to take the grid. So it would be nice if there was a way I could stick it all in the 1 bag. Just give me an extra pocket or something like that. Another problem I had was updating the light itself. When I had it plugged in, the Sidus Link app is the only way that you can update the light. There's no other way to do it. And as I had it plugged in through the mains power, it wouldn't update. So then I was doing some research and people were saying that they had to use NPF batteries to update it. So I used my large 970 NPF batteries. They're a third-party brand, but I stuck those in there, and then that wouldn't update either. But then I stuck in these little 550s, into the light, which are also another third-party brand, and then it updated the light. So you may have trouble updating the light if you're anything like me, but hopefully you won't have any trouble. But I did, and I did some research and found out that other people had trouble updating it as well. And updating the light is actually quite important if you plan to use the Sidus Link, because I had version 1.0, and these lights had a bug in them for a lot of people, where if it might lose Bluetooth connection, and once it loses Bluetooth connection, you can't get it back, and you can't update the light, so you actually had to send it back in to Amaran, and then they would give you another light. So when you get this light, if you do, immediately go and update it. Right now it's on firmware 1.3, and they say that has solved the Bluetooth issue. Because if your Bluetooth drops out of this thing and you can't get it back, you can't update the light, you'll never be able to use the app again. And so unless you just plan to use the buttons, you got to send it all the way in. But hopefully that won't be an issue for you, but it was for a bunch of people when they first got this light. So who and what is this light for? In my opinion, it's for people who have a professional or semi-professional setup. They're getting paid to do gigs by clients, and they have nice lights, and they need panel lights that go along with their nice lights, something that has a high output of power, because these things have a 5,000 lux at 1 meter, whereas, you know, something like a 530, this thing has 2,000 lux. So the power difference is immense. So you can get far more light out of something like this. It is a better build. It is more robust. Even though it is plastic, it is hard, and I think it could survive a fall pretty well. And you know, with the Aputure Amaran brand, that it's going to have a nice, you know, high quality of light that is not going to fade or have too much magenta and green shift as time goes by, like these cheap other lights are going to have. You can use this even as a key light in situations where you can't take big parabolic softboxes, and cheap little lights like this will not give you enough power to give you a nice key light. That is what this guy will do for you. And if you don't need him as a key light, he could be a fill light, or he could be a top-down light, or he could be a background accent light. There are so many ways to use this small little light that's certainly $250. This in your lighting kit is going to be a great benefit. So that's it. Thanks again to Pergear for sending out the Amaran to test for you guys. Don't forget to leave a comment, ask a question if you got one, and I'll be sure to answer it, and we'll see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.